Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are located and watching this presentation. First, let me thank the organizers, C2Z, for organizing this outreach event, and Nick for moderating this session, and Rogalj for your very nice presentation on the future emission pathways, and Kristen for your wonderful presentation on carbon dioxide removal methods. And these two presentations have provided an excellent background for my presentation on solar radiation modification. So following is the outline for my presentation. First, let us, we will discuss what is, SRM and also what are the various options. Then we discuss the chapters that assess SRM, then the key take-home messages on SRM from the Working Group 1 IPCC report. So this is the IPCC glossary definition of SRM. There are two key aspects related to SRM that should be, we should remember that. One is, SRM is not at all related to greenhouse gas mitigation. So it doesn't involve emission reduction, and also it does not remove carbon dioxide removal. It rather involves reducing the amount of incoming solar radiation reaching the surface. So we'll see the various options, how they do this reduction in incoming solar radiation. There is also one option involving the high-level cirrus clouds that affects the long-wave radiation budget of the planet. But interestingly, this option has been classified as SRM both in this particular IPCC report and also the previous IPCC report on the special report on 1.5 degrees C. So here is the schematic that illustrates the various SRM option. The first one is the space sunshade. So in this particular case, the proposal is to place a very big mirror or multiple mirrors or highly reflecting small particles in between sun and earth in space. So this would reduce the amount of incoming solar radiation to the planet. And the next option is stratospheric aerosol injection. So this is the most widely studied option at this time. So this option would involve injecting sulfate aerosol particles into the stratosphere, where these particles would reduce more sunlight back to space and thereby cool the planet. The third option is MCB, marine cloud brightening. Here, the idea is to inject sea salt aerosols into the marine low clouds. These clouds are usually found along the west coast of the continent. And finally, ground-based albedo modification. So in this particular option, the proposal is to increase the reflectivity of either the ocean surface or the land surface. In the case of ocean, you can place highly reflecting foam particles, or you can also produce micro bubbles at the surface of the ocean. And then over the land, you could either bioengineer the crops so that the crops leaves are lighter color, and light colors basically reflect more sunlight back to space. And also, in the urban areas, one could paint the roofs white, because the roofs, white roofs are more reflective compared to darker color roofs. Even though there are five options that I showed earlier, the current IPCC report focuses on three aerosol-based SRM options. The three options are SAI, MCB, and CCT. So basically, as I already indicated, CCT involves reducing the amount of high clouds, and thereby, which allow, their reduction would allow more IR emission to space and thereby cool the planet. So these are the chapters that assess the SRM. In chapter 4, the climate system response to SRM is assessed. And in chapter 5, the carbon cycle response to SRM is assessed. In the case of chapter 6, the cooling potential of these various SRM options are assessed. And in the case of chapter 8, which deals with water cycle, the water cycle response to SRM is assessed in chapter 8. There is also a very nice discussion in a box on SRM in the technical summary of the report. But interestingly, there is no mention of SRM in the SPM, which is basically the summary for policymakers. So following are the key messages on SRM from chapter 4. First, SRM could either fully or partially offset the global warming, global mean surface temperature change, but the offset would be imperfect, particularly on regional and seasonal scale. And there also could be several side effects, including ocean depletion in the stratosphere and the corresponding increase in harmful UV radiation at the surface. And also there could be altered regional rainfall pattern because of SRM. And also there is one more effect of, side effect of SRM, which could be very harmful. This is called the termination shock. So I haven't slide separately for a termination shock. We'll come to that later. So one of the key messages is that there have been several improvements in modeling of the SRM, SAI option since the last IPCC report in 2013. And one of the key results of this modeling improvements is that multiple temperature-related goals, such as global mean surface temperature change, equated to pole temperature gradient, and the temperature difference between the northern and southern hemisphere. If there are changes in these three quantities because of climate change, we can actually bring back all these three quantities simultaneously to any level that we want. So this has been studied for the SII options using climate models. And finally, a sober note that large uncertainty from our incomplete understanding of various physical processes, specifically the interaction between clouds and the aerosols related to SRM options. So these uncertainties, of course, are not only unique to modeling the SRM options, this also is relevant to the projection of future climate change. So the next message is from chapter 6, which assesses the cooling various, the cooling potential of the various SRM options. So it finds that the aerosol-based options could provide cooling that could potentially offset a warming from doubling of atmospheric CO2 concentration, and with the SII at the higher end and CCT in the lower, CCT with the lower potential. Next, specifically MCB and the CCT, they involve interaction with the cloud, and because of that, there is large, low confidence in the effectiveness of these two approaches. And here is a message from chapter 5. If you remember, SRM causes cooling. So because of this, more carbon can be stored in the atmosphere and the ocean. And because of that, atmospheric CO2 could be slightly reduced by SRM. However, because this CO2 change is very, very little, ocean acidification problem would continue under continued CO2 emissions. And here is a final message from chapter 8. So it says that the abrupt introduction or termination of SRM would cause abrupt climate and water cycle changes. So here is the message on termination. So we need to first remember that SRM is a mask to the climate change problem. It does not really address the root cause of the climate change problem, which is basically the increase in greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. If the mask is abruptly removed for any reason, very severe climate change could happen. That is, rapid climate change on the order of several degrees per decade could occur, which could subject human and natural ecosystems to severe climate change. I mean, you can just compare this very large rate to the current rate, which is about a few tenths of a degree per decade. Now, what do we expect in the next two the reports that will be coming in this year, 2022? So first, I think first is let's look at what is covered, what is going to be probably discussed in working group 2. So SRM is going to involve risks and benefits to human and natural ecosystems. And so working group 2 is going to assess these benefits and risks of SRM. And also, because SRM involves risk, it needs a formal governance framework. So working group 3 is going to assess the international governance of SRM. So this governance framework is expected to cover basically the research as well as possible deployment of SRM. And with that, I conclude my presentation. Thank you for watching.